Dean from Lane Security here, and today I'd like to ask you one simple question. When was the last time you thought about your home security? Now, home security could incorporate a lot of different things, depending upon who you are, where you live, and what kind of building you live in. For instance, a home alarm is a great way to know that there's an intruder inside your home. But for me, what's much more important is locking those intruders out and stopping them from getting in your home in the first place. This is where having good quality locks on all external doors is very important. Now, I'd recommend that whatever lock you have either incorporates a deadbolt or has a separate deadbolt on every one of those doors. Deadbolts are much harder to manipulate, much harder to break into, and offer a level of protection that's higher than a standard lever set or knob set. For this reason, a lot of the insurers will give you a discount as well if you say that you've got deadbolts on your doors. Now, the other thing you need to do is just a little bit of care and maintenance and a little bit of monitoring of that lock. Now, from a care and maintenance perspective, you don't need to do a lot. It won't take up much of your time. Unless the lock you have says otherwise, what I would recommend is that you wipe down all external surfaces with a damp cloth. Now, that's just a bit of warm water. Don't use chemical cleaners. Chemical cleaners will break down the surface and make the lock look terrible, and if they get inside, they potentially could damage the lock as well. So just a damp cloth. If you live on the coast, you might want to do this as regularly as weekly. Get that salt off as often as possible, because the salt just damages any kind of metal all the time. Okay, and then from a monitoring perspective, you just want to make sure that the lock is still doing the intended job and it isn't starting to rattle, isn't starting to have an excessive play in it. Now, this particular lock came off a house after a number of years. It looks okay, but what was noticed was that the movement in the lock was becoming a lot more. The key in the deadbolt was starting to stick every now and then. That wasn't fixed by lubricating. Now, the key itself, you may or may not notice, but this has got a lot of movement in it now. This is just the wearing of the parts inside, and unfortunately when it comes to a lock, you can't see all the parts inside, so you don't know when they're going to break. Most good locks will offer you a 5 or maybe 7 year warranty. I don't know how many locks I'd trust after 10 years. Yes, they might work a lot longer, but they may not. Murphy's Law says that if they're going to break at the worst possible time. So I'd recommend that you replace them as a preventative measure once you start to notice signs of them breaking down. You might notice corrosion on them. This particular one, the rosette, what we call the rosette, this part at the back, has come loose from the rest of the lock. That gives the ability for somebody to stick tools in there. And obviously that's a bad thing for a lock. When you consider what these locks are doing, they're protecting all your valuables when you're not home. And more importantly, they're protecting all your loved ones when you are at home. So they're doing a very important job, and a little bit of investment in care, time, and potentially replacing locks is not a big effort to make for the potential savings of having somebody not be able to break into your home.